Hello everyone, welcome to the first lecture of AS10 revised, which includes the accounting for depreciation, property, plant and equipment. Again, it is based on accounting standards, so it is as strenuous and complicated as it was AS19, what we studied lastly, lease accounting. However, because of more of theoretical part and being an accounting standard and now being MCQ point of view, from your exams point of view, this chapter becomes again very important, because from minute corners of the accounting standard, any point can be asked in your exams. However, the language is little less complicated than lease accounting. Practical questions are also there, some practical questions are also there, but lots of theory is there, and from MCQ point of view, each and every term you need to understand properly. Otherwise, you won't be able to answer those MCQ questions. So all of you take out your study material, important things you'll mark, and wherever you find important examples I am giving you, write those examples so that when you read those theory, you are able to understand. I repeat, in your study material itself, you write those examples which I give you so that you understand that particular concept thoroughly. And if it comes in MCQ in exams, you are able to identify what things are included or not included. Let us start with it. Take out your study material of AS10 revised. Very first, we understand what is property, plant and equipment. It's a very simple concept. They have given the name as property, plant and equipment. In very simple language, it is a tangible fixed asset. I repeat, it is a tangible fixed asset. That is the only thing you have to remember. Okay, let us read it. The property, plant and equipment, PPE, also generally known as fixed assets. And these fixed assets are tangible property. So as I said, you may write it in bold, capital letters, dark letters against property, plant and equipment in 3 words. How will you remember property, plant and equipment? Tangible fixed assets. In contrast to the intangible property, which is dealt by another accounting standard 26. Why it does not include the intangible fixed assets? Because they are governed by a different accounting standard, that is AS26. So AS10, what we are studying, property, plant and equipment, will include only tangible fixed assets. Now these tangible assets are, number one, held for use in production and supply of goods and services. They are used in production of supply and goods and services means machinery. Why do you use machinery? You can write the examples, I repeat, wherever you feel, you write the examples so that you understand the meaning of those sentences. Yes, why do we use the machinery? For production of goods. Now when I say services, then you can say bus. Bus is a service. So bus is also a property, plant and equipment. Okay, there it is not used for producing anything but for providing services. Okay, then it is used for rental to others. Means you buy the property, you don't use it for your own purpose to produce goods and services, but you give it on rent. So you buy a factory, you give it on rent. Now you are not producing, someone else is producing, but you have given the property on rent. Here it will be covered in AS10 only, that is property, plant and equipment. Or for administrative purpose, furniture. Does furniture get used in producing any goods or service? No, it is used in your business in administrative purpose. In short, all the kinds of tangible fixed assets would be covered over here. Expected to be used for more than one period of, obviously if it is less than one accounting period or 1 year, it's a current asset. If it is going to be used for more than 1 year, then only it is fixed asset, and not held for sale in the normal course of business. So if you are buying an asset to sell it, then it is goods for you. It is not a fixed asset. Okay, if you are buying any asset to sell it, it becomes goods. So you may buy furniture, but if you buy furniture to use it for your own purpose, it is asset. If you buy furniture to sell it immediately, like in this central square we have at-home shop, sofa shops, furniture mart owners. For them, furniture is not asset. For them, furniture is goods. Car showroom dealers. For them, car is not asset. It is goods because they are buying it to sell it. So they must not be held for sale on the normal course of business. The examples of property, plant and equipment are land, building, plant and machinery, furniture and fittings and office equipments, etc. Now, what is the objective of this standard? The principal issues in accounting for property, plant and equipment are recognition, means recording of asset. How are we going to record the assets in our books of accounts? That we are going to study in this particular accounting standard. Determination of their carrying amounts. Carrying amounts means book value. So here depreciation part will come. How will we provide depreciation and find the book value of asset every year? And third, as it's discussed just now, the depreciation charges an impairment loss to be recognized in relation to them. Impairment loss means once the asset becomes useless, its economic life is over, then the loss arising is called impairment loss. So three things we are going to study in this standard. The objective is how to record the assets in the books of accounts, how to find its book value after subtracting the depreciation, and how to record the depreciation and impairment loss. Scope. This standard prescribes the accounting for PPE, that is property, plant and equipment, except where another accounting standard permits different accounting treatment. Means this standard will not overrule any other accounting standard. So if for any item of asset any other accounting standard is there, it won't be covered in AS10. AS10 will cover any particular asset only if it is not covered by any other accounting standard. Let us see further. Non-applicability of AS10. When is AS10 not applicable? This standard does not apply to biological assets. Okay. What is biological assets? I'll explain you in the next slide in detail, but it does not apply to biological assets. Related to agricultural activity, other than bearer plants means in bearer plants it applies. We'll study in detail, don't worry, in the today's lecture. Entire today's lecture is devoted for biological assets only. Today our target is just to understand biological assets and bearer plants, because in MCQs they can be asked. So your concept clarity of what is a biological asset and bearer plant must be thoroughly there. Biological assets related to agricultural activity means this standard does not apply on biological asset, but it applies on bearer plants. That's why it is written biological assets related to agricultural activity other than bearer plants. Other than bearer plants means in bearer plants this standard applies. As it's written also in the next sentence, this standard applies to bearer plants, but it does not apply to produce plants. And again that is explained in the next panel. B. Wasting assets like mineral rights, expenditure on the exploration for an extraction of minerals, oil, natural gas, and similar non-regenerative resources. Okay, so all the wasting assets, coal, gas, oil, you know what you get from the vessel of the earth, they are called wasting assets. Why wasting assets? Because they have limited quantity in the earth vessel. Once you extract them, that quantity gets depleted, decreased. In such assets, the accounting standard 10 does not apply. They are called wasting assets. Okay, so all the things, petroleum, oil, gas, what you get from the iron ores, all what you get from the vessel of the earth, they are called wasting assets, and AS10 does not apply to them. This is very important. It can be asked in MCQ. AS10 does not apply on two things: biological assets and wasting assets. What are biological assets? We'll see in the next slide in detail. And in biological assets also, it will particularly apply on bearer plants. Now, this next sentence also mark it important, underline. However, this standard applies to items of property, plant and equipment used to develop or maintain the assets described in A and B above. For example, what is this you see in front of you? This is a big crane kind of machine. And where is this machine used? In extracting oil. Can you see in that oil, that image? Does it matching with that image or not? This machinery is used in extracting oil from the ocean or from the place wherever oil is there. So basically, oil vessel is not included in PPE, but this machine which is used in extracting the oil vessel is included in PPE. Look at that sentence again. This standard applies to items of property, plant and equipment used to develop or maintain the assets described in A and B above. So oil vessel, coal vessel is not included, but if any machinery is used in taking out that coal, gas and oil, that machinery will be covered in AS10. Same way biological assets are agricultural produce. What is this? Tractor. It is used in agriculture. Now this tractor is used to develop and maintain the biological asset. Tractor is included in AS10, but the agricultural produce itself is not included in AS10. So keep this in mind. Any machinery or equipment which you use in developing and maintaining the biological investing assets will be included in AS 10. Next point is also important. Investments property is an investment in land or building that are not intended to be occupied substantially for use in the operations of the investing enterprise. Means, what is investment property? You buy a land, you buy a building, and your purpose is once the value appreciates, you sell it. Capital gain. You buy a newly constructed building of 1 crore rupees, and in 2 years, your objective is after 2 years, you'll sell it for 2 crores. Once the area develops, once the value of that building inflates, you will sell it. This this kind of property is called what? Investment property. You are not buying it for your own use, but this is, you can say, you are buying it so that you can capitalize and get the benefit in future when the value increases. Okay, so speculation, what you call it, is speculative activity. When you get an opportunity, you buy such things. In your business also you do that. You take the benefit of such speculative activities. So here it is just explained what is investment property. Investment property is an investment in land or building that are not intended to be occupied substantially for use in the operations of the investing enterprise. You just buy it as an investment. The investment property is property, plant and equipment and should be accounted for only in accordance with the cost model. Underline this. It can be asked in MCQ. Cost model only prescribed in this standard. In further lectures, we are going to study two models, cost model and revaluation model. But if a property is purchased as investment property, only cost model will be used. So this is important, can be asked in MCQ. Investment property valuation or recording is done in books of accounts. According to which model? Cost model, revaluation model, both the models, none of the above. This kind of MCQ can be asked. You will say investment purpose. If you have purchased a property, you will use always cost model for accounting of the same. Okay, so this is important from MCQ point of view. Now, as we discussed in the previous slide, what is biological asset, agricultural activity and agricultural produce? Let us understand. Biological asset is a living animal or plant. Understand this, living animal. Can you see this goat in front of you? It is a living animal. And you use it for agricultural activity. You use it for earning income. It is not covered under AS 10. One more example. Cow. It is a living animal. It is a biological asset. Horses. They are living animals. They are biological assets. All these you use in your business purpose. Agricultural business purpose. But they are biological assets and not covered by AS 10. Same way, living plant. Tomatoes plant. It is a biological asset. Corn plant. It is a biological asset. Potato plant. It is a biological asset. All these examples you note it down in your study material. Otherwise, you will not understand what is a biological asset. So where you have written living animal, above that write down the examples. Goat, cow, horses. Where it is written living plant, you write down above that. Potato plant, corn plant, tomato plant. So biological asset is a living animal or a plant and is core income production asset of agricultural activity, therefore not covered by PPE because it is main production asset of agriculture activity only. Agriculture things are excluded from property, plant and equipment. Agriculture activity is the management by an enterprise of the biological transformation and harvest of biological asset for sale or conversion into agricultural produce or into biological assets. Agricultural activity they have explained. What are we supposed to do? Farming they are explaining. Management they are explaining. How do you manage this property? Potato, tomatoes, corn plant. How do you manage that from transformation, sowing of seeds, harvesting of it? How do you manage that entire activity is an agricultural activity. That is not included in AS 10. And agricultural produce. What is agricultural produce? Tomato, corn, cow, milk, what comes from cow. These are what agricultural produce. Potato. Okay. So it is the harvested product of the biological asset of the enterprise. So keep it in mind. We studied biological asset. This AS 10 will not apply. Now further we studied what is bearer plant. What is a bearer plant? Because in bearer plant AS 10 applies. In bearer plant AS 10 applies. Okay, if I ask you a simple question, where did you study the word bearer earlier? Don't we come across day-to-day life that you will bear the fruits of your hard efforts in future. Do you come across this kind of sentence from your teachers and parents or not? I repeat, you will bear the fruits. These are three important words. Bear the fruits of your hard work in future. So generally bear the fruits means what? Like mango tree bears the mango, apple tree bears the mango. Your hard work will bear your income in future. Here bearer plant is the same. Bearer plant means such trees. I repeat, trees, tree gardens, okay, tree orchids, which bear the plant, which bear the fruits, which bear the fruits. And unlike tomato, potato, corn plant, you don't harvest and cut the plant itself. You don't harvest and cut the plant itself. You just take out that fruit, produce and sell it. And that plant is like a machinery. It will give you fruits for years and years. That is called bearer plant. So what is bearer plant? Bearer plant is a plant that is used in the production or supply of agricultural produce. It is expected to bear produce for more than a period of 12 months. Tomatoes, corns, they are not like that. Every year you harvest it, again you sow the seeds, again you grow it in the next year. Every year they are not going to give you the fruits, plants or the produce. But here trees will give you the same produce years and years. The life of mango tree is 40 years, 50 years. Apple trees are 40 years, 50 years. They give you the produce for years and years. You don't cut the tree. You don't harvest the plant itself. Only fruits are taken out and sold. So it is expected to bear the produce for more than a period of 12 months and has a remote likelihood, means very less chances. Underline remote likelihood and write very less chances. Underline remote likelihood and write very less chances of being sold as agricultural produce except for incidental scrap sales. Means entire plant itself you are not going to sell as a produce. What you do in case of wheats, crops, you take out the entire plant and then you take out the produce, and plant itself is also sold as scrap. Here you don't sell the plant itself, means the main tree itself is not sold. So what are the examples? Tea gardens. Okay, only tea is taken out. Plant remains as it is. Next year again it will give you the tea. Orange orchards. Orange you take out, tree remains at its place. Next year again you will grow oranges. Grapevines. Grape you take out, the vine, the garden of grapes remains as it is. Again next year you'll get grapes from that. Mango tree. Mango you take out, tree remains at its position for years and years. So all these are the examples of bearer plants. Once again look at the definition. What is bearer plant? First, it is used in the production or supply of agricultural produce. Second, it is expected to bear the produce for more than a period of 12 months. And it has a remote likelihood, very less chances that the entire plant itself will be sold as agricultural produce except for incidental scrap sales. Incidental scrap sales means in a mango tree, extra wood you may cut out and sell it for firewood purpose, etc. That is incidental scrap sales. That is different. The branch or the part of that tree which is sold as a scrap, but main tree remains as it is. Okay. So bearer plant, remember the word bearer. Bear the fruits, remember that. So all the trees, generally fruit bearing trees and plants are considered as bearer plants, and accounting standard 10 applies on that. It is just like your machinery. The only thing, it has a life. Machinery does not have a life. Machinery you use for years and years and grow products or goods out of that, produce goods out of that. Same way trees you use for years and years and you grow fruits out of that and you earn out of that. So bearer plant is just like a machinery. The only thing, it has life in the same. So bearer plant AS10 will apply. Biological assets like horses, cow, tomato plants, wheat crop, maize. Then I give you the example of potato plants. Their AS10 will not apply. Which ones are not bearer plants now? The following are not the bearer plants. First, plants cultivated to be harvested as agricultural produce. For example, trees grown for use as lumber. You understand this? Trees. These are teak wood trees. Teak wood trees, pine wood trees, rosewood trees. Why they are grown? To sell the teak wood. Sag wood, you understand? Sag ka lakda. Okay. Rosewood, pine wood, ashish wood. All these trees, they don't have any fruits. You grow the trees and you cut the tree itself and you sell that wood. These are not included in bearer plants because they don't bear any fruits. Quite obvious. You grow the tree, you cut the tree, and you sell the wood of that tree itself for a good value. So plants cultivated to be harvested as agricultural produce. Here lumber means teak or the wood itself. Okay, the wood itself. Plants cultivated to produce agricultural produce. Now, trees cultivated to produce agricultural produce. The second point is important. When there is more than a remote likelihood means more than good chances. Underline more than remote likelihood, more than good chances that entity will also harvest and sell the plant as an agricultural produce other than incidental scrap sales. For example, trees that are cultivated for their fruit as well as lumber. Cherry tree. Cherry trees wood has maximum value in the market. It's very costly wood. So when you are growing a cherry tree, you have two objectives. Okay, you have two objectives. Cherry you will take out and sell, and in case if you get very high value for the wood of it, you will cut the entire plant and also sell it. Such bearer plants also are excluded from the scope of AS10. And obviously annual crops, I have been telling you earlier, maize and wheat, because the entire plant itself is cut and sold. So the annual crops, where every year you grow the crops and cut the entire crop and sell it, are not included in bearer plants. Okay. When bearer plants are no longer used to produce, they might be cut down and sold as scrap. For example, used as firewood. This I told you earlier also. Such incidental scrap sales should not prevent the plant from satisfying the definition of a bearer plant. So here bearer plant means tree. I told you that extra part you may use it as scrap sales. That doesn't mean that you are selling the plant itself. You are just selling a part of it as a scrap sale. But still that mango tree would come in the category of bearer plant. Example, mango tree is a bearer plant and it is covered by AS10 PPE. However, mango grown in the tree, make the correction over there, is a producer of bearer plant and is not produce, not producer, make it produce of bearer plant and is not covered by this standard. Tree is covered, but mango grown from it is not covered. Further, in wheat crop, the plant of wheat itself is not a bearer plant because it is cut down and sold as a scrap. So wheat crop, maize crops, tomato plants, potato plants, these all are not included in AS. All of you look at page 28, there is an example. Take out page 28, this is a practical question. You need to write the answer in your notebook. Take out your notebooks and you'll write the answer over there. Page 28, question 1. Gamma Limited uses horses to transport material from one place to another place on hilly area where construction activity is going on. It purchased horses worth rupees 80,000 for transporting the material on 1/4/16. Useful life of horses was estimated 5 years. Therefore, company decided to write off the depreciation on horse as per SLM over 5 years. 80,000 divided by 5, 16,000. Comment on the treatment for depreciation accounting as per ASM. We cannot provide, it's a biological asset. Just now we studied in the lecture today that biological assets will include the live animals and live plants also. So horse is a biological asset. AS10 cannot be applied on that. It is a livestock. Depreciation cannot be applied on the same. Write this in your notebook. As per AS10, biological assets are exempted from the scope of PPE. The horses are the examples of biological asset and so depreciation cannot be charged. Today's lecture we keep it restricted to this part of accounting standard only, which covers what is included in AS10 and what is not included in AS10. In the next lecture, we'll study the contents of AS10 in detail. So that will be all for this lecture. Bye everyone. Take care. See you in the next lecture.